Let's get started. This is the third out of three, so the last one, demo series from demo part from our demo series about SharePoint Framework Toolkit. And here, yeah, not getting started with SPFx. Sorry, it's how SPFx Toolkit can boost your productivity, or basically give you a feature for improving your DevOps. So about SPFx, and I will show it in a bit. And I'm just a standard dev fan. So nothing special here. If you just want to contact or share whatever tag, just reach me out directly. Okay, let's move on. And I hope I won't be doing the slides. As I said, I have a bit of a problem today with my tenant, and unfortunately I don't have a different one that to work what I wanted to present today, but maybe it will work now. We'll see. If it won't, then I go back to the slides and I have a backup with this. Anyway, this is our VS Code standard kind of thing. Probably you already, most of you use and love, and this is a standard, some SPFx project I found in a sample gallery, created, whatever. And now I want to kick off my development with a CI/CD pipeline, but every time I will do some changes and push them on the main branch, so complete some PR, whatever, it will be automatically deployed for me on my tenant to the app catalog, or it could be a QA tenant that is connected with my client, and he can already see the progress and test it out and so on. It could be a daunting task, especially a challenging kind of thing, especially if you're doing it the first time. And that's why SPFx Toolkit gives you a perfect starting point, which I would say even is production ready. Let's jump into SPFx Toolkit. This is how it looks when it is in the context of your project. In the previous demos, I showed you how it looks at the beginning, and then all of those other features from the very top to this one, which I omitted last time specifically for this demo. So we have a CI/CD workflow action we can now use when you're in context of the project. Currently, we are supporting GitHub and Azure DevOps. I will kick off with Azure DevOps because I had some statistics that it's more widely used, but if I have time, I will jump into and also show you how we can do it for your GitHub. But basically, it's really similar kind of thing. And basically, you don't need to do anything because it's already pre-populated based on your project. So my project is named SPFx Toolkit Pipeline Demo, and as you can see, the pipeline name will be like this. Usually the default branch is main, so it's also pre-populated. Every time you will push something to the main branch, the pipeline will trigger itself to build your package or SPFx package and build it on pipeline. So I can change it if I'm fine with those, I can just move on. Then I can either authenticate as a user or application. I will explain in a bit. And for example, I can deploy it to a tenant, and I just can click create pipeline, and it will work. Really awesome, yeah. So there's no a lot of work. I can even prove it. I can click it now. It's already generated. There is some YAML. So I now have a new Azure DevOps pipeline folder. There's some YAML folder already created, and I can push it based on this YAML file, create a new pipeline in Azure DevOps, which I will do in a bit, and populate those variables based on the values I need, for example, for authentication. But it can do a lot more. So in the authentication section, we can either pick that we will be authenticating in our flow as a user, which is really, and it's written here, that's kind of devy kind of thing. So it's like for your really dev purposes, and it won't work if your user that you will be using in your pipeline to authenticate has MFA turned on. So it's a really test kind of thing. And if you want to be more production ready, and this is default setting, you should be using the application authentication mode. So basically, in your pipeline, you will be logging from Azure DevOps to your tenant using a certificate generated based on an app registration added to your tenant already. And it can seem, especially if you're doing it the first time, a bit complex kind of thing. That's why SPFx Toolkit, and I hope it will work, can do all of these things for you. Yeah, so let's say I don't know how it works. I want you to generate this certificate for me and create this app registration for me. And let's say I will create some really hard to find password like I love Lego. And since I already have this kind of app, I will just tweak the name, and I also want my package to be deployed on a site level app catalog, not a tenant level app catalog. And SPFx Toolkit is already connected to my tenant, understands and lists out even all of my app catalogs. I can pick which one I am specifically interested in. I don't need to type it. Okay, let's see if it works. I hope, fingers crossed. If not, maybe I will try. But basically now it's taking a bit longer time because under the hood, SPFx Toolkit is connecting to your tenant. Okay, it worked. And it created on your Azure AD, Entra ID, sorry, still really connected to the old name, your Entra ID, an app registration for you along with all the settings and the certificate added. So you can just use it in your pipeline. Really awesome. And as you can see, here we have instructions. So it doesn't create this pipeline for you in Azure DevOps. We don't integrate like this in Azure DevOps yet, at least now. But it gives you this guideline. It's basically 3 steps, what you need to do to have this up and running, and all of the variables you need to populate. And since it created this app registry for you, you even have the values, so like the Entra app ID, tenant ID, and the certificate based F64 encoded value, or you can use the file. I'll show it in a bit. I will show many things in a bit. Just copy paste and use it. Okay, but we'll come back to it later, and basically we can just follow along those instructions. So I will just show them for you. So as I said, in the Git changes, we will see that only this YAML pipeline was created in our SPFx project. I will show it's here. Actually, it's created something a bit more. It created those certificates in a temp folder, but temp folder are usually Git ignored, so there will be never committed to a repo, and they shouldn't be, because this is actually the certificate that was used to set up the authentication for your app registry and to generate the base and encoded value. And okay, let's move on with this. So let's show a bit magic. Okay, so let's commit this a bit, push it to our Azure DevOps repo. Just give me a sec, let it think. So yeah, it will be ask me for my top secret password. This is not something probably you will be doing, or me not. It's just I'm signing in my comments that it's proving that it's me. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay, now it will be deployed in a bit to my Azure DevOps repo. So I'll jump there. I hope my all fresh. I will see in a new folder here, the Azure DevOps pipeline folder. As soon as it will push. Oh, it's still syncing. Okay. I don't have time anymore to show something in the meantime. Okay, it's pushed. Let's see, it's refreshed. Okay, I have my pipeline here and my repository and the main branch already, but it won't work like kickoff initially like this. GitHub works like this, but Azure DevOps requires a bit more love. So we need to go to the pipeline section and create a new pipeline based on our YAML flow. It's really easy, and it's not something you have to know. It's something SPFx tells you how to do it step by step. Go to Azure DevOps pipeline page, click on the new pipeline, select Azure Git, okay, and so on and so forth. I'll do it. Azure repos, this is my repository and my branch, and then I'll create a new pipeline based on existing YAML file, because this is what the SPFx toolkit generated for me, and this is my YAML file I want to use to create my pipeline. That's it. Okay, really strictly easy. And we could basically, another thing we need to do, we need to populate those variables, because SPFx toolkit doesn't do it for you. It generates this application for sure. It could edit it here, but it's maybe not the best practice, and it's also something where it's recommended. So basically, it's kind of okay that you could populate it here, maybe not that kind, okay, because then you commit those values. It's part of your code, part of commit and repository. In GitHub, natively, we leverage the secrets and secrets placeholder. In Azure DevOps, what you can do, but you don't have to do, that's why we create your YAML flow like this, is leveraging the libraries, okay? So that's what I will do. I will just save my pipeline. I won't run it already. And actually, I need to edit it. And another thing, what we could do to add this really be like production ready kind of thing, we can leverage an additional feature that you maybe are already familiar with in Azure DevOps, is variable groups. We can create a new variable group called demo. And here I need to create those same variables that I'm expecting in my YAML flow to be used. So the base code and the certificate base encoded value, and I can get this from here. So this is what the SPFx toolkit already generated for me. So it generated the certificate and this value for me and created this uprec. So I can just copy paste. Awesome. The next value also, I can either use the base encode or the file ID. I will be using the file was also the thing that was generated in the temp, but today I'll be using the string. I need to provide a password. So for example, here, if we would need to write the password, it's just a string. Everyone, you would see my I love Lego password, but here I can make this value secret. And now you won't know my I love Lego password. I hope I won't mistype it, and this pipeline will fail. But okay. Not now. Maybe next time I'll save it. Okay, the Entra app ID. Very awesome. Just bear with me a bit. I'll just copy those. I hope quite quick. Another ID. Okay, and the last value we'll need to do are a couple of values. SharePoint base URL, and I'll provide the value in a bit. Package name. So this is the name of our package. If we would build this project locally, it's the same name. And the app catalog, this is already pre-populated for us in the flow. So this is the site level app catalog I selected in the toolkit to be generated, and from here I will take my my SharePoint base URL. Okay, really awesome, safe. It's really recommended to use libraries for where you're using variables. Mainly, for example, you can encrypt your password, but you can also leverage here Azure Key Vault, or you can specify security permissions for a specific group that some specific developers or admins, whatever, can only change those variables, and those that can modify the code, for example, may not. And now we need to just say to our pipeline that, okay, I won't be using the name variable by variable, but I want to leverage a group. And if I'm not mistaken, I named it demo. Okay, I hope it will work, and let's validate and just run it. It will take a bit for it to kick off and deploy. I hope it will work. We'll see. If not, then I will just explain it why it didn't work, right? Okay, let's give it time. So now it will, okay, yeah. Need to give it permission because it's the first run of our flow, and I think it will be actually a second run. I will cancel the first one because it's done on every push. So I pushed my changes to main. That's why we have the first one, and then I run it manually. That's why we have the second one. But okay, it's scanned. But basically it's working, and it's doing the npm install. So it will take about like 3 minutes. And in the meantime, I will explain what SPFx toolkit done here. So because it done a lot of magic. First of all, it created this app rec, which I mentioned many times, and you see this link directly here. So if I will click here, we'll go to my tenant directly to my Entra ID to this app created for me. This is really awesome. You don't have to do it manually. You don't even have to understand how to do it. Maybe it's not something probably you will have permission on a production tenant to do, but for your QA testing or dev, for sure, if you're an admin. So this gives you a huge shortcut not to go here or request or open up so ticket, whatever, to do it. Someone do it for you, you can do it manually, but SPFx toolkit does it and created this this app for me. It, as I said, generated the certificate. Those were those files that you could see here in the temp folder that are not committed. Basically, if I'm willing to use the string, I can just remove those if I'm not interested in them. And the certificate is already added as part of my app registration certificate secrets part. And in the API permissions, okay, here probably most of you will see that this is kind of a bit of a God mode. So because it's the site full control also, it's a prepped ready for tenant-wide deployment, right? Kind of app registration to have this permission. It's for sure above if we are just interested in deploying to a site level app catalog, but it's a good starting point. Okay, so this is what actually is supposed to mean, do at least now. And let's see at the pipeline. You don't have to be that familiar with YAML. You don't even have to understand YAML to have a pipeline and start your DevOps journey with SPFx toolkit. Of course you may, and I will explain a bit. I might be zoom a bit. So this is my name. As I said, it will be triggered every time I do any kind of push commit on the main branch. These were the variables for changes. It will be built and deployed using in Ubuntu. Really slick, really easy. Then there we have some setup steps like set up the proper version of Node, run the npm install, bundle and package our solution. the same kind of thing you would be doing locally. And then we use CLI for Microsoft 365 under the hood. Currently, we are using it as a script. We don't have a dedicated, like in GitHub, we have GitHub Actions for CLI. So in Azure DevOps, we don't have it yet. That's why we provide this kind of script generated for you, and it authenticates using this app, set up the URL, adds the package, and deploy it. Really, I would say simple kind of thing. And this is all regarding the flow. So as you can see, it is quite simple and supposed to be simple. So it's your starting point to have your DevOps prep after ready. So your CI/CD kind of thing. But of course, you can extend it, modify this YAML, and learn even more. And I would highly recommend this. I hope it run. Let me see my deploy. Okay, it did. It worked. Woof. I mean, I was expecting this, right? And then so I published this to the PNP demo app catalog. Let's just go to the sub catalog to confirm that it's there, right? It is. Okay, awesome. Really simple thing. I think it took me about like 5 minutes to set up from nothing to a working pipeline with all the authentication, certification. A CI/CD I can just forget about and move on, and it will, every time I change something and deploy it and commit it to my main branch, it will be deployed automatically for me to a test or whatever tenant. And you can do the same kind of thing with GitHub, but as I anticipated, we have only 3 minutes. I don't have time to show it all, but just to give you a rough feeling, I won't generate the app for it. You can also specify GitHub. You don't have to change anything else. This has an additional option that you can specify, because in Azure DevOps, you can always trigger a pipeline manually. In GitHub, you can specify that it can be optional, that you want something to be triggered manually or not. So you have this possibility here. By default, it's on. And you can also create it. I didn't create the flow, the app registry, that's how it's so quick. And now, as you can see, it's generated a new workflow in GitHub kind of word, in a GitHub folder. So in Azure DevOps, we call them pipelines. In GitHub, we call them workflows. And it's really similar kind of thing if you would compare YAM to YAM. But what I wanted to point out is here that we use CLI for Microsoft 365 specific GitHub actions that CLI give. That's why it looks a lot cleaner. Okay, that's fortunately all the time I had in the world. But I'll jump back to my slides. I hope it was easy and understandable for you. I know it could seem like an advanced feature. And in the last 2 slides I have with me. So since this is the last presentation from the demo series about SPFx Toolkit, I wanted to point out what we are currently thinking about for V4, because we are in V3.3, but we are thinking about V4 already. We're a bit postponing it due to a bit of lack of time. Now we are working on a major in CLI, so I'm really busy in this area. And also, we are still waiting for VS Code to provide additional support for ES models. Currently, it only does CommonJS. It's BT for VS Code extensions. But if we will have this unblocked, we want to release a new V4, which will support you to log into multiple accounts between multiple tenants, which is really awesome. It will give you more management features around SPFx Toolkit, and this is something we already started. So we will not only show you app catalogs, but for example, apps deployed in each site a level app catalog. We'll give you a feature that will allow you to generate a dev container for SPFx Toolkit, therefore use it in Docker, or give it the possibility to use it CoSpace. Really awesome. We'll support multiple SPFx projects. So let's say now we support that SPFx Toolkit only works, or maybe not only work, but understands when you're in a single SPFx solution can have multiple web parts extension, of course, but it's a single solution. What if you want to be on a root folder which has couple of SPFx solutions, and currently the SPFx Toolkit wouldn't understand it and would provide you with a welcome experience and learning guidance to start with SPFx. We want to add the support, so we can start with a top level and have managed features for your all of the SPFx solution. The SPFx Toolkit will find in this folder. Then we want to extend the scaffolding. So this is something I presented in the second demo. I already said also that back then what are the features that are going to come, and give you more settings for the extensions, because we understand that each of you probably want to customize, maybe hide some features, maybe enhance some features, or move them around to make it really your own. So this is something we want to give a customization kind of enhancements in this extension. And and of course, don't be shy. If you have any kind of ideas, cool, and if you want to help us create the best SPFx tooling in the world, please do let me know directly or visit our repo. And our repo is aka.ms/viva/vscode. Yes, because before it was VS Viva Connections Toolkit, but now it's a SPFx Toolkit, doesn't matter. And join our Discord community. And thank you very much for being with me on those free demos and getting to know how SPFx Toolkit can rock your SPFx solutions.